Hi, this is Jill, and I'm going to teach the backbending segment of the practice. If you've been following along so far, I started with an opening. I'm doing an opening every week now. And then I've also put out the sun salutations and the standing poses, and then a hand balancing practice and seated poses. If you were to do this in order, this segment would follow. So it would be the back bends to the closing. And if this is something that you've enjoyed and want me to do more of, please hit that subscribe button and maybe a little thumbs up, and it will help me to continue making these videos. Also, if you have a comment or a suggestion on something you would like me to teach, let me know. Put it in the comments and I would be happy to address that. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the back bends now. I'm going to treat this also as if maybe you haven't done the warm-up or you haven't done the sun salutation. So we're going to go ahead and start on all fours. Now, if you already are warmed up, you can skip this first part, although it's quite nice. We're going to come on to all fours here. And then from here, we're going to make our way down to the floor. So just easily, just walk back and just make your way down to the floor. So we're going to come into what we call Sphinx pose, with the elbows bent and the weight on the hands and the elbows. So we're going to take the shoulders, lift them up, draw them back and down, and then take your tailbone and curl it under. So your butt's not sticking up, right? The tail's under. Pull the belly in, and then from here, just keep your gaze softly down your nose. As you start to straighten the arms, we're going to warm up that upper back, take it into a bit of extension as you lift up, right? You straighten the elbows, try to keep your tail curled under, and you feel that thoracic spine working, opening the front body, the sternum, and then come down. Now, if you wanted a little more stretch, you can walk the hands in a little bit and just play around with this. Take a breath in, rise up, and then find an exhalation, keeping the tail under, shoulders down, the neck is free, lift up. You can stay here for as long as feels good, maybe 10 breaths, maybe a little longer than normal, and then come down. And then walk in. As far as the pacing goes in this practice today, and you can walk in more maybe and really feel the back work and open the sternum. This is completely up to you. You could do this a few times if you felt like you needed it. And come down, and you could stay longer than I'm staying right now. And then next, we're going to come on to all fours again, and we're going to reach out into what we call puppy pose. Walk the hands forward. So it's kind of like a down dog, but you're on your knees. So I think that's why we call it puppy pose. You walk your hands forward, and then just start to sink that thoracic spine in and come down. Now you could rest at the top of your head maybe, or if it didn't hurt your neck, you might be able to come to your chin and just stay here and kind of explore what's going on in that upper back. Can you really open some things up there? And again, you can stay here as long as you need to. We're just going to take a gentle downward facing dog to release anything that might have felt a little stuck, and come into down dog. And now, if you've done the practice up until now, or if you've done sun salutations, you could skip this whole little part and just join us here. So we start on the knees, and we're going to come into preparation for Anjaneya Asana, which is Anjaneya's angel. I like this pose. It's a lunge. So we'll start with the right foot forward. And very important here, your setup is very important. The front knee, you want it right over your ankle, not forward, right? And not too far back. So right there. And this left knee, same thing, you want it right under your hip. If this irritates your knee or it's too heavy on your knee, you could be on a blanket. But try to be a little forward of the kneecap, right? So you're not right on it. And then we're going to take this right hip and just pull it back and down. And then the left hip is doing something different. We're going down and under. So this is the back bending side of the body. You really want to get that feeling and that support there. Think posterior pelvic tilt in this left side. So the butt's going under, not sticking out. Left side pulling back. Now the arms, we're going to take these arms. We played around with them before, where you're getting a nice widening in the back. At the same time, the shoulder blades are drawing together, but they're drawing down. And by going a little wide and not just crunching together, we can activate the lats. So the muscles in the back are activating, and you're trying to keep that knee over the ankle, and you're drawing the left butt under. Keep lifting up and keep finding space. And take it to where it feels good and you can breathe. And then we're gonna add the arms. Reach the arms. Keep lifting up to go back. Keep lifting up to go back. Tail stays under on the left side, right butt pulling back. Keep breathing. Breathe slowly. Breathe. You can count to maybe 20 here, maybe more, maybe less. Inhale, rise up. The truth is, the amount of time you stay there is really up to you. Just stay to a point where you feel like you can still breathe and get some benefits. If you wanted to, you could do it for shorter amounts of time and do a few more sets. We're gonna go to the left side now. So step the left foot forward. Same thing here. Knee over ankle on the left side and drawing that tail under on the right side, finding a more of a posterior pelvic tilt rather than anterior where the butt's sticking out, right? Once you've established that, we're gonna go ahead and add the arms. So shoulders down. Think of even though the shoulder blades are coming closer together, a widening, so you involve the lats. The back is working, the sternum's lifting. The back is working, the sternum is lifting. We find this radial expansion of the torso as you lift up. And just keep coming into the pose, breathing the whole time, inhaling and exhaling. Keep breathing. And then finally, inhaling and coming up. Come back to the knees. And then I'm gonna teach this pose one more time, and we're not gonna break it down so much. We'll just come into the pose of Anjaneyasana. So I think it's really nice to do all that prep work first and then see what kind of yoga pose can come out of it. So we'll step the right foot forward again. This time, I'm not gonna be so strict about the knee coming forward. It will come forward at me. So let's come into the pose. Starting here, take a big breath in, start to lift the arms right away. Lift up. Now lift up more. Take your time. Then we start to come up and back. Keep that tail under on that left side. You can bend into the front knee and just feel where you might go with this pose. You can stay breathing to see where it takes you. Inhale, rise up. Yay. Let's do the other side. It's quite a task to talk as you do that. Let's do the other side. So the left foot comes forward. And again, we find posterior tilt on the right side, pulling the left butt, and we'll just come into Anjaneyasana. So taking a deep breath in, you want to breathe the whole time. Reach your arms up. Find that radial expansion of the torso as you lift up. And it's okay to lunge forward now. Keeping the tail under on that right side. Lifting up to go back. Just see where that takes you. Maybe it takes you somewhere really beautiful. Keep breathing. Breathing. And inhale. And rise up. And we'll come back to center. So again, just take that pose where it feels good in your body. And you can do up to 3 sets if that felt good, or you could just do it once. So now we're gonna come into Ustrasana, or camel pose. Since we're on our knees already, it's pretty convenient. We'll just grab the blocks. I'm gonna teach the variation with the blocks. So we'll take the blocks and line them up with your ankles. And then from here, we're gonna do the back bend on our knees, but it's kind of nice because the arms don't reach over the head, right? But you can feel a nice stretch in the front body. So here we go. You're gonna find that same position with the shoulders down. Even though they're coming closer, there's a widening. The lats are involved. Lifting up. Don't just lead with the head, right? Lead with the heart. Keep that gentle gaze down the nose. Now I'm feeling my tail go under here. And it's kind of lifting the pubic bone upward. Feeling that, so there's no tension in the low back. Keep feeling that. Let the arms just kind of hang back. And then maybe you find the blocks, right? If you needed to go back to find the blocks, that's okay. Just come back again. And then see if you can lift way up, 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 up. The head will naturally find its place. Breathe into the rib cage, big breath in. Keeping the belly in and lifted. Inhale, rise up. And coming back. So that really felt nice. There's a nice hip flexor stretch, as well as opening and expanding the chest. This is another one where if it's feeling good and you want to do it a few times, you could. I'll show you another variation. If you liked that one, you can repeat it. But another variation, we don't use the blocks, and if it's accessible, you can tuck the toes under, right? So your heels become like blocks in a way. So here we go. We come into the same pose. You're lifting, 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 lifting. And then at some point, you might find your heels. Take that tailbone under and lift up more. Feel a forward and up, forward and up, forward and up. And inhale and come up. Again, the amount of time you stay there is completely up to you. I'll just show you the full pose now with the toes pointed. And with the toes pointed, I like to think about the shins pushing down, right? And it's the same thing. Lifting up, lifting up. Feel a sense of lats here. And then at some point, you see I go back to get my heels a little bit. Walk down, and then I push forward and up. And I keep that sense of up. And breathe, keeping that sense of opening, radial expansion, opening, opening. And inhale and rise up. And come back. And now we're ready to go over to the wall. So now we've come to the wall. You're going to take your blocks here, and this is going to be a little tricky in the setup. We're going to do a drill where we lie over the blocks to help open up the sternum and the shoulders. So you're going to want to have your blocks so that one of them is going to come right under the sternum. And that's the one you really need to take your time to find, right? So you want to, there's the sternum, and the block will be at the bottom of the shoulder blades. And then the other block is under your head to keep your neck long. Then we're going to bend the knees and reach the arms and really straighten the arms as much as you can and push into the wall. You're also trying here to, since the hips aren't in extension, you can pull the butt back towards the wall as well and really try and find that nice lifting of the sternum and the shoulders reaching, and just push and push. And you can stay here as long as you want it, maybe 30 seconds, maybe you come in and out a couple times, but just whatever feels good in your body, right? And the arms are really straight, that's the most important thing. And then we're gonna come out of this pose. So straightening the legs, you can now reach the arms. We're gonna come into a roll up, and it's kind of easy because you're already a little lifted. All you need to do is draw the chin down a little, curl the belly way in, and curl up. And then we're going to put the blocks aside for a moment. And now that we opened the sternum and the shoulders, we're going to go back to the hip flexors a little bit. So we curl back, and we'll come into Setu Bandhasana, or it's just the smaller bridge, right? This variation where you bend the knees and then take a breath in and exhale. We're going to fire up under the butt and the back of the legs and lift the butt up, right? You want to try and get that tail under and lift up as high as you can. Make sure you're not too crunched in your shoulders, right? You want to have some space there, but at the same time, you want to have space in your neck. So make sure the chin isn't up or down. It's just right in a good place. Find where you can walk in a bit maybe and lift up as high as you can. And just enjoy the lengthening here and see where you can go with that. Right? Maybe you can grab the mat, or maybe it feels good to grab, I like this, and lift up and stay with that. You could come up and down a couple times if that felt good in your body too, and you were really feeling the use of the back of the legs and how the front opens. And then slowly coming down. You could articulate down if you wanted to stretch the spine a little, whatever feels good in your body. Now we're going to come back up and set up for Urdhva Dhanurasana. So you could do a roll up And then we're going to grab the blocks and set them against the wall. So Urdhva Dhanurasana, or upward facing bow, is not an easy pose. And it's not accessible to everyone because you're having to push with the feet and the hands, and you're trying to get straight up so that the stretch is even in the body, even in the shoulders and even in the hip flexors. So if you're tighter in one of those areas, your bow might be off. So it might not be for you. And if that's the case, you can just jump ahead to the next one, which is accessible to everyone, I think. So let's go ahead. If you want to try this and you think you'll benefit, we'll curl back. We'll take it in stages. So coming all the way back. Go ahead and we'll bend the knees. We'll place the hands on the blocks. The elbows point straight up. Make sure your head's not jamming against the wall. It's going to be right in alignment and lifting the chest straight up. So we're going to bend the knees and take it in stages. The hips come up first. Then we're going to be very light as we do this. Use the upper body to come to the top of the head, but lightly. Then on the next breath, exhale, lift all the way up, right? If you can. And then sometimes it's nice to walk the feet in and lift the heels so that you can lift the hips up more, right? Just lift up. Now maybe you can keep this lift and take the heels down. Then maybe you have all this lift, you want to push this way. You can. Just to open the shoulders a little bit more, right? And just enjoy where you're at. But make sure your hips aren't too far forward. You want to make sure you're lifting straight up. It should feel like things are opening, things are happening. And then coming down, slowly you can lift the heels. Lightly draw the chin in and curl, really curl the spine down. Tail stays under, you curl, coming all the way down. To try this in stages, because you couldn't get up, there was no way, you could just take the hands and practice here. Practice lifting the pelvis and practice maybe trying to lift, right? Maybe you aren't able to do it, but maybe you can come to the top of your head lightly and then curl down. But not to the point. If you come to the top of the head, make sure you're not just pushing on your head. That's too much compression in the neck, so I don't suggest that. But I do suggest skipping this one altogether if it's too much. And now we're going to go ahead and draw the knees in, just kind of roll around a little bit, and we're going to come to standing. So your choice, you could roll over to your side, come to stand. You could do a roll up, but I'm going to roll up. It's kind of fun. So you can pull the knees in and come on up. And then we're going to come to stand next and work on the drop back. So now we're at the wall and we're going to do the standing drop back. The space away from the wall where you're standing is going to vary for everybody. If your shoulders are tight and you know that, right, and maybe your upper back is pretty tight, you might want to start pretty close to the wall. So we're going to do a couple of these and you can progress as you do them. We'll start in prayer position and just pause for a moment, find your breath. Your feet can be either parallel, if that's in your body, or slightly turned out. I prefer mine a little bit wider and a little turned out. And then we're going to go ahead and take a nice breath in, open the hands out a little bit so that you get that sense of the shoulders drawing down. And then there's also a sense of widening as you engage the lats and lifting up. Everything in the sternum is lifting up. Now we're going to go ahead and add the arms, and notice what happened here, right? Try to keep reaching. Now take the tail under and start to lift up here, lift up. Everything's up. Maybe you can touch the wall here and keep lifting, and then inhale and rise up. And you can do that again. We're going to do it 3 times, right? So the next one, I feel like I want to walk up a little bit. So we'll do that. Inhale, open this up. Find that opening, reach the arms, lift way up, keep that sense of up even as the tail comes under, the sternum lifts, and you touch, and then inhale and come back. And on the third one, I'm going to go forward a little bit more because I felt like I could in my body, and we're going to hold this one. So here we go. Inhale, and you can open out. Feel that sense of the lats engaging. Reach the arms, really lift. This is the grand finale. Lift up And you can feel that tail under, feel the legs engage as you start to go over, 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 and you hold and breathe. Keep breathing, use the legs. Inhaling, exhaling, and inhale, rise up. And just stay as long as you feel like your body is expanding in the front in a good way. So all of these poses that we did today, all of the drills take us to this moment. So hopefully that feels really nice and you can find a place that you come to your best, even fullest back bend.